Hello, class, and welcome to the labs 2 and 3 from chapter 10. We're going to walk through a lab here at just another example of doing some more pivot tables and how this can be used. Here we've got a data dump that is theoretically from an accounting system showing a bunch of journal entries that were made. Um, and who entered them and who approved them. So what we're going to do is we're going to use pivot tables to organize this in such a way that we can recognize if somebody is entering and approving journal entries, thus violating separation of duties. So what we're going to do here is we're going to create another pivot table. We've got the date the entry was made, the number of the entry, account amounts, and then who entered and who approved. So I'm going to go out here. I'm going to go to Insert and go to Pivot Table here. Select the whole sheet, and it's going to pull up a pivot table example here. Now, looking over here in the columns that we can choose, we're going to select um, who approved it, who entered it, and then we're going to put just the debit values. So every journal entry is going to have debits and credits. And where we want this, we want the column to be the approved, right? And then we're going to have the rows as entered. And then we're going to have the sum of the debits here under our sum values. Okay, so let's see here. So by default, you notice it likes to lump stuff together in this rows one and then just put an associated value under here. So frequently, if you check a number of columns in here, you will have to um, um, drag things around into the right place where they need to end up. So this is what it should look like here. And then we've got up here, and let's see here. And actually, I'm going to do this. I'm going to change this one to account instead of a sum. So these are the number of entries here. So now we see if we go back here and look, let's see. So our rows are who entered, and then we've got columns for who approved them. All right. So if we look at this, all of our, let's see here. If we go out here, so if we were to put a filter on here, right? I'm just going to do this really quick just to show another way you can look at this, right? If we look at who's entered, these are the two people who entered all the entries, VR and MW, right? And then under approved, we've got three different people. So we do see that VR is listed under both entered and approved. So looking back here then, we see that VR, the entries that VR entered were mostly approved by, looks like DH here and AC, right? So they have, this one is, I'm just going to change the alignment on there so that it is closer to the actual number there. And if we double click on this, by the way, we can put entered by, and then let's put this approved by. Okay. So we do see here, by the way, that VR has one entry that was approved by VR. So if we double click on that, it'll pull up the detail of this entry where they both entered and approved it. So we can see that it was for training expense. All right. So that's a little concerning to have that one for a nice round number of $500. So everything else, though, let's see, MW does not have anything that was approved by them, so that looks good. So then once you have this, you would want to just answer whatever questions. You're going to do the same thing with the Alt2 lab data, basically, and answer the questions in Connect for your homework here. So I will pull up here really quick the Lab 3 data in 1 second here. Okay, so here is the Lab 3 file. By the way, when you pull this up, it might be scrolled over a couple columns and only show a couple columns. So make sure you go down to the bottom of your scroll bar and scroll that over so that you can see all of the columns. We've got a couple here where some numbers are bigger and are not showing up. I'm just going to make those wider. So what this lab is about is we have data on over 2,300 companies in here. And each of these is a data point that is necessary for calculating what is called Altman's Z or Altman's Z, um, which is a measure of variability showing whether they are likely to go into bankruptcy. And so these items that are in here, let's see here. I've got a key. In the textbook, there is a key. So these are identification keys. So this is like what is the company number that's assigned to them? This is a company name. This is the fiscal year. We've got their current assets, so assets current, ACT, assets total, earnings before interest and taxes. We've got current liabilities, so liabilities current, LCT, and then liabilities total. We've got net income, retained earnings, net sales, and then this is the market value of their equity. So what is their equity worth in millions, by the way? So not standard dollars, but in millions here. Actually, all of the numeric ones here are in millions. So these numbers in columns D through L can be used to put together a number of metrics that are used for calculating the Altman's Z. Okay, so we're gonna label some columns here, X1 through X5. So we're gonna do some data transformation here to show something that is typically, we're going to do some calculated columns basically. And then in this, so we're going to put Altman's Z. All right, so there we go. So now we're going to calculate the five financial ratios. So these numbers are used to calculate five ratios that are all combined together into this composite measure Altman said. So so here we're going to put equals, and then we want to do the current assets minus the current liabilities. So D2 minus, actually, I'm going to put a parentheses around here, D2 minus G2. And we're going to divide that by column E2. Okay. And these are all going to be relative references for now because we're going to want to scale these down to our to all 2,300 plus companies here. All right, so for this one, we're calculating. So the first one was our working capital divided by our total assets. So the working capital is the current assets minus the current liabilities. Make sure I got that divided by the total assets. All right. Yeah, got that. Okay. So for this one here, then I'm going to put, we want to calculate retained earnings divided by total assets. So our retained earnings are in J2 divided by total assets E2. Okay. And then for X3, we're going to calculate earnings before interest and taxes divided by total assets. So that EBIT in F2 divided by total assets in E2. Just making sure I did the right rows. Okay, we're all on 2. For the fourth one, we're going to put the market value of stockholders' equity divided by the book value of the total debt owed. So we're going to take our market value in L2 divided by the total liabilities in H2. And then, and all of this, by the way, is in the textbook. So if I'm going too fast or whatever, it's all like written right out for you in the textbook. Okay, X5 here is going to be sales divided by total assets. So let's do our sales in K2 divided by those total assets in E2. Okay. All right. So we've got this. Now, um, basically what we want to do is, so I'm going to put this here, Control C, and I'm going to put this also down at the bottom here at our bottom one, like go all the way to the bottom. And I'm going to do a Control V. And then I'm going to go back up to the top here and I'm going to reselect this, hit copy. So whatever, if it's Control C or Pretzel C, Control C, and then I'm going to hit Control Shift down, and it's going to highlight all the way down to here. When I hit hold down Control Shift and tap the down key, and it'll select down to there, and then do paste. So Control V or Pretzel V, whichever one you have, is appropriate for if you're on a Mac. Okay. And so there, now we've got those calculated all the way down for all 2,300 plus companies. So now we are going to calculate here. There's a formula. Let me just grab a quick screenshot of this formula here so that you can see what it is here. I'm going to put this from the lab right on the screen for you. All right, so so the z-score is 1.2 times the first variable here, plus 1.4 times the second, plus 3.3 times the third, plus 0.6 times the four, plus 1.0 times the five. So showing what that looks like right there, we're going to go through and enter this formula here. So equals left parenthesis 1.2 times M2. And then we're adding that together. So plus 1.4, 1.4, wow, I can type, times N2. And then 3.3 times O2. 6 times. And then 1.0 times the last one, Q. So 1.2, 1.4, 3.3, 0.6, and 1.0. All right. And you should have all five of those highlighted. So I'm gonna hit enter. All right, so got that, and it should be, this looks correct. I'm gonna put this out here. I'm gonna format this not in dollars, put a number. Oops, come on. There we go. There we go. All right, so I'm going to copy that. I'm going to put this way down in my bottom value again. So it gives it a stopping point and it's getting the right row, so that's good. Go back up here, hit Control C, Control Shift down, Control B. Get that all in there. And I'm going to remove this formula here. So if you need this, still hit pause. All right, so now we have the Altman's Z column calculated for each of these. So now we need to incorporate a decision rule. So let me just show you what the rules are going to be. All right, so what what the numeric ranges are for this. If this Altman Z is less than 1.8, Then we classify this company as bankrupt or in a distress zone. If it is between 1.8 and 3, we'd say it's at risk or it's in the gray zone. And if it's more than 3, then it is safe from bankruptcy. Um, so we're going to go in here and we're going to use our data analysis tool that we have used before. So go to the data tab, click on data analysis. If you don't have that, by the way, there are instructions in the textbook for installing the data analysis toolkit. So you'll want to go out and follow those directions from the textbook, which are um, embedded in the lab 3. If you do not have this data analysis option up here, it's something that comes with um, Microsoft Excel. You just have to enable it basically. Um, so I do already have that, and I'm going to go down here and they're going to have us do a histogram to see how many of these companies are in the different ranges here. So our input range is going to be column R here. So, and we want to just put in the R1. So I'm going to add in, actually here, let's do it this way. R1 through, oh, here. Let's just delete this for a second here. There. So R2 through, go all the way down. There we go. R2330. Actually, let's put R1 here so that it keeps our label. Oh my gosh, really? All right, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to just type it in. There we go. R1 through R2230 or 2330. And then the bin range, um, we're going to put an input range here of T1 through T3. So really quick here, I'm going to put in, so T1 through 3. Let's put that in and just, I'm going to put OK here. Really quick though, I'm going to put in, let's hit cancel really quick because I forgot to enter in. So we got to enter in our bin amounts here. So type bins and then put 1.79999, and then put 2.99999. All right, and then I'm going to redo this again. All right, so do that. Data analysis, histogram. It's going to default to what I last did. Since I had that highlighted, by the way, beforehand, it jumped back to that, which was nice. So if you click on here and do a Control Shift down, it'll start off with that already input. All right, and then our bin range is going to be T1 through T3, and then we check that we do have a label on there, so that it recognizes that this first one from each of these columns is a label. And then we're going to go ahead and have new worksheet there that's going to be created. Click OK. So then this is what we end up with here. And if I put this, I can put this to more digits here. Let's just do this. Number. There we go. Oh, let's do this. Why is that rounding that? Annoying. It shows the value up here. I think it's just rounding it. All right, whatever works. regardless, it's doing the correct number. We can see that it's up here, even if it's displaying differently. Um, Probably because I put too many, whatever. We have the correct numbers here. So this tells us that we have 305 that are in the bankrupt or distress zone. We have 516 that are in the gray zone, and then we have 1,508 that are in the safe zone. All right, and so that is lab number 3. Now, I don't think lab number 4 is on the homework, but let's see here. Just trying to decide if I want to walk through the lab number 4 or not. Actually, lab number 4 is a goal seek analysis, so I am going to go ahead and do that really quick. Let me just pull this out. I don't need to save that. Grab my file here for lab 4 data. All right, so here we've got the price, number of unit sales, cost per unit, and fixed cost for some sales, monthly sales from January through December. So now we're going to go ahead and we are going to start calculating some of these items here. So first thing we want to calculate is our variable cost. So we're going to take the number of unit sales times the number of unit costs. So B3 times B4, get that. Next, the total cost is going to be our fixed cost plus our variable costs. So we're going to just simplify it here, B5 plus B6. Next, we are going to calculate our sales revenue, which is going to be the price B2 times the unit sales in B3. And then our net income simplified is just going to be the B8 minus B7. Okay, so that gets us our income. All right, now, we can estimate break even, however. So here I've calculated this manually. We can also do this by seeking like how many units would we need to sell in order to break even if we wanted to. So here, if we just look at what this would be, we have a net income of minus 250, right? So let's go out, if we go to our data here, and then we're going to look at what if analysis, and we're going to do a goal seek. All right, so the cells that we want to use here, we're going to go ahead and set cell B9. That's the one we want to enter. And then we're going to set that to 0. So our goal value here for this goal seek analysis is 0 in cell B9. All right. Now, and what are we going to change in order to make that happen? We're going to change our number of unit sales. So I'm going to put this in as an absolute reference here. Right. So changing cell B3 and click OK. And then it's going to go through a whole bunch of iterations here to say, hey, how many units would we need to sell here in order to break even? All right. And it turns out our break even with this particular unit cost and this price is, and these fixed costs, calculating all of these, is going to be 400 units. So what that goal seek did was it automatically changed this to be the break even number of units here. So if you've got the 400 now in the units and you've got a net income of 0, then you've got that set up correctly. So now though, what we can do is we can copy that over. Um, and we can run that for each individual month if we wish to do so, um, to see at these differing price. Well, they've got the same price all the way across the board, but at these various different unit costs, what is our break-even number of units that we need to check? So let's see here. So they do show this walking through for each month. I'm gonna do something here. Just click OK. Wonder if I can do this. It's going to just, so these are all going to be calculated here. And let's do this. See if we can do this as a group. Test this out. So set cell is going to be, we had B, right? So, oh, row 9. I wonder if we can just put cell 9. No, I think we're gonna have to do this individually. All right, well, let's do this. What a goal seek. So the set cell is gonna be B9 to, C9. So we're gonna call them C now. So C9, we're gonna set it to 0 by changing cell C3. All right, so what you're going to want to do then is go down this entire row and calculate those. And it will give you, so in this case, unit sales of 312.5 would get us to a net income of 0 in this case. All right, and that is it for the labs for this chapter.